Okay, today what we're going to play with is basically this is a file that I found on YouTube. There's a YouTuber called Rick100 and he does all kinds of cool projects and stuff. And he's done a robot bulldozer, which he has radio controlled by using guts from Coke can cars and stuff. And I liked what he's doing. I wanted to test out his tread so I can compare it to the treads that I've printed and things like that. And he's also using a dual function, it's a swing idler gear function, much like the old 1960s Mr. Mercury used for all his functions. He's also using the yellow TT gear motor, which is the 1/48 or 45 gear ratio, and this is the blue one with the metal gears, so it's a 1:90 gear ratio, so it's twice as slow but twice as powerful. And he was finding that with the yellow one it must be it needed more gearing down because it's loading the motor down to the point where he said he was drawing over 300 milliamps on a 4.5 volt 3 batteries. And this particular one, running the weight of the vehicle, the batteries, and all the electronics, draws 190 milliamps when it's operating. Now, instead of running it on the Coke can, I wanted to go ahead and use a whistle control, since I've been playing around with those kind of vintage toys for a while, and I've done a lot of whistle controlled 3D printed things in the past. But this particular one, what I'm using is this tone decoder board here, which has got a small microphone on it. It's got an audio amplifier there, and right down here it has a tone decoder, and I'm using that to drive a modified dual H bridge. And the H bridge allows you to reverse the direction of the motor. Now, I only need one channel to control and reverse the motor, but in order to run a H bridge and reverse it, you have to have two data lines. So I'm using the other half of the H bridge, because it's a dual one, as an inverter. And it's in this particular chip, all I have to add is a 10K resistor and a jumper wire, and I've got an inverter. So I've got it set up so I can have a single control line to make it go forward and backward. And that's good because the tone detector has a single control line out. Normally when it doesn't see a tone, it's in a high state, and when it does see a tone, it goes to a low state. So by changing that high to low, this will make the motor run forward or backward. The motor is running directly off of the 3 AA battery, so that's 4.5 volts. I want to make sure the tone decoder gets a clean 5-volt supply. So tucked in down here, down below, I have a buck boost regulator, which will take anything from 2 volts and raise it up to whatever I set it at. And I set it at 5 volts. Well, anything within reason. I set it at 5 volts. The only thing I changed on Rick's files was the switch, because it's the type of switch that I always use. It's a larger slide switch. So I did modify the file so I could mount my normal switch in there. The rest of this is all directly off of his work. Obviously, like I said, I don't have his body on it. I wasn't going for cute. What I was going for here was for function. I wanted to test out the new motor. I wanted to test out his tracks and tread and all that kind of stuff. And it's really quite impressive. What else? Well, let's turn it on so you can get an idea of the speed that it runs at normally. Here it is on. So it moves along quite well. And then when I blow the whistle, so I got a whistle controlled track section. I don't really have any plans to do anything with it. Like I said, I just playing around. I wanted to play around with this small H bridge because it has a very wide voltage range, at anywhere from 2 volts up to, I can't remember what the upper voltage range is. It's quite high, and up to 1.5 amps it can drive on the motor. And the tone board I had used once way in the past, but I had this one left in my junk drawer, so I grabbed it. And voltage buck boost, I had a bunch of those laying around because they were dirt cheap. So it was just a question of printing Rick's parts out and playing around with it, and hopefully Rick will watch this video, because then he'll know what kind of current draw he can get if he swaps to the blue TT motor at the 1 to 90 gear ratio. And this was just having fun playing around with a different way to control it. Like I say, it'll probably never go any further than this. Will I print the rest of his body? I don't know. Would the rest of his body fit with where I've put these things? I don't know. I was really just wanting to test out these treads, because we might want to use these on something else. You might want to double link them and make a longer set of treads, and make some sort of other robot or something out of it. You never know. It's always good to find treads that someone designed that seem quite durable, and they did print right on the A1 Mini, came right off. They were loose and free. I didn't have any trouble with that. Snapping them together, they do fit really tight to snap together, but if you got a tabletop there and you work them at an angle and kind of work them a little as you're pushing, just keep pushing. It's just plastic. If you break it, so what, print another. But I did both of those without breaking them. I just kept pushing and twisting, and snap together they went. And once they're together, you're good to go. So be sure to watch Rick's video if you're at all interested, especially if you want to see how cool his looks when it's got the body and everything on it. I'll have the link to his demo down below, and if you go to his video, you'll find links to the STL files. You'll find links to his build videos. So there you have it. I don't know if there's anything here that you guys are interested in. If there is, I can provide more information on this little dual H bridge, or even the tone decoder, where I sourced that. They're both quite inexpensive. The buck boost converters you can find all over the place. I had some that were really small, but they were throwing out too much hash and noise for the electronics here. So I had to go with a little bit bigger one, but there's a lot of room in here. I just stuffed it back in there. Alright, just a fun day.